All right, Mike. Part 2 of Tyler Price's fishing instruction. Hopefully you took some notes. There will be a quiz to follow. Just kidding. All right, so for this second video, we're going to focus more on the Carolina rigs. I would say Carolina rig, Texas rig, they're used interchangeably because they're very similar. Carolina is a better state than Texas. It is what it is, so I call mine Carolina rigs. But basically the idea is you have your hook, and then you have a football head weight. I typically use 3/8. 3/8 is a good weight, but you want something similar to this. I might have some in its original packaging. I'm not a cinematic genius here. Forgive the distractions in the video. I don't have it with me right here. But anyways, enough rambling. So with these Carolina rigs, Texas rigs, you want these 3/8 ounce weights. They're called football heads unofficially. Basically, it might be a little bit hard to see. So there's a little hole in the top. What you saw me do is I stuck the tip of the hook in through the opening up top. They're lead, but they're coated, so oftentimes the coating covers the hole partially or complete obstruction. Very simple. Just take the hook, stick it right through the head, you're good. So what you're going to do, and I don't have the fishing line with me, but you're going to string your line through the narrow part of the head first, slide that up your line, take your fishing line, come through here, tie it on, and then after you tied it on, your weight will sit comfortably right on top of your hook. If you have fishing line, it will fall. It'll sit comfortably right on top of the hook there. So you can use the rubber worms again, or you can use like crawfish. Rubber worms, same that I showed you earlier, the tournament series Sticko worms. Basically what you want to do here is come to the top of the worm and come out slightly lower. So this is technique that you're going to learn over time to get more comfortable with where you want to place the hook. So something important to look at here, the offset on this hook is about maybe 3/8 of an inch, more like a quarter. But that's important because when you come through the top, as I do here, you're only going to want to come down that same distance, that same 3/8 inch. So you see here, that's all that I did. I brought the hook in right there through the top, slide it up the hook here, come around that offset, and now this was damn near perfect. I don't know if I could have done that again if I tried for the first video, but you can see there's still that little bit of extra on the top, little bit to help offset with the fishing line and then with your weight. So in a perfect world, that's what your rig will look like on top with the string. We're not done there. As you can see, this is not a very good, very reliable rig. So what we want to do is get this barb to sit on the worm right around here. So we got to come bend with the hook, and there's no pure science. You just kind of figure it out, again, with experience and being comfortable with setting the hook. So I come down through, and just typically I don't move my hand, but I just want you to see the process in motion. It came a little bit too low, so we got to come a little bit lower here, sorry. So look, I don't know if you could see that in the video, it might have been too low, but right here you can see the barb coming out of the hook. All we have to do next is just pinch and tuck it in. So again, similar to the weedless hook, in theory, you are now weedless. You're gonna get snagged. It happens, it's inevitable. Like I said, it's not very reliable because you're going right into the worm. Remember from the Wacky Rigs video, we said that it's better to have O-ring because you don't want the hook to pull on the worm. But with the Carolina setup, it's completely different setup, completely different mechanism of action in the water, and this is what you want. So there's a whole lot of extra down on the bottom. In theory, again, forgive me for not having this on a fishing line to give you a better depiction of what to expect, but in theory, this is what your rig looks like when it's in the water. So this is a pure jigging motion. You can pull like from horizontally, or you can go straight up and down. I typically will cast as far out as I can and pull it this direction. So when you're using this rig, you can see just like the Wacky, these worms have a lot of movement. What you want to do is get as much of this movement as possible to attract the fish to come get your bait. So when you are pulling, you want to kind of pull at like a 45-degree angle, and then it's a jigging motion. So you're pulling and you're resting, pulling, resting, pulling, resting. And what this does is it gets the worm to jump, bounce, shake, do whatever it needs to do, and then it'll drift back to the ground. And then you pull it. I know it seems kind of elementary here, but basically the concept is as you're jigging this, as you are jigging this across the bottom, you're coming up a few feet, maybe 2-3 tops, basically as long as your fishing rod is, but you're pulling, bringing it up, and then letting it drop. And then the next motion, you're pulling it up, letting it drop. Very simple, very easy, very reliable. Some of the biggest fish I've caught have been off of this rig, but it all depends on where you're at. Some of the smallest fish I've caught have been on this rig too, right? But it's very reliable. It's probably, if it's not the first setup I use when I go fishing, it's the second. The nice part about the Carolina Texas rig is the versatility with your baits, your rubbers. So these are my absolute favorite rubber. I gotta have the rubber worms just because how versatile you can fish with them. But this is the creme de la creme as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if you specifically need to have the Christy Crawls, as you can see here, but I absolutely would. They work for me so well. Green pumpkin, purple flakes, green pumpkin, red flakes, watermelon, red flakes. In the Northeast here, these are the favorite colors, favorite color baits. Again, the color matters for the region, for the fish that you're typically going after. So do a little bit of research with where you're at and what they take. But similar to the rubber worms with the Christy Crawls, you're going to come in remembering you have this little 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch offset. So you're going to come right through the middle and the top again. And notice this time you'll be able to see when you have these. You can see all the ridges, all the grooves here on that side. On the back side, it's much more flat. So what I want to see when I'm hooking this bait is I want to see the flat backside in towards the hook, and then the actual details, the grooves, as you will, away from the hook. And that's important here in the next step. So remember that offset, come in about 3/8, maybe 1/4, slide it the whole way up just like we did with the Carolina. And here's where that is so important with the placement of the bait. So again, smooth side is inside towards the hook, the rigid side is out. This is what the fish see normally. They don't usually see the belly of the crawfish when we do this action. So with the Christy Crawls, come on down, get that barb out, and then tuck it back in. So as you can see, hopefully the light's good to you, you can see that little area right there where the hook itself is exposed, but the barb is buried. So if you watch any video fishing with crawfish, you're gonna see their movement. And this is where that jigging is important again, because you're gonna see these are the claws, but they're very loose, very light, and a lot of action that comes with them. So crawfish stay towards the ground. So this is going to be important with your action. So with the Carolina rigs, we're coming at like a 45-degree angle. With your crawfish, you're going to want to stay a little bit under that, so 30 degrees is probably more appropriate. Again, it depends on the landscape of where you're fishing. If there's a lot of rocks, if you start feeling like you're getting snagged or anything like that, then you would want to change it, so you're going back to that 45, but much smaller motions. So it's like, and then let it rest, and jig, 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 let it rest, as opposed to with the rubber worms, we were doing much longer, broader pulls with the jig. But with these guys, it's all about the action. All about the action. The fish love the vibrations, they love the action. Another way to hook up your Carolina or Texas rig. And again, sorry, this is assuming that you have your football head weight on there. That's important too. One disclaimer with the Carolina rigs and the Texas rigs: as easy and versatile and efficient as they are for catching fish, they also do a great job catching snags. The one common theme with the rubber worms, rubber crawls, the Christie crawls here, they're cheap, and you can just, if you lose them, you lose them. It is what it is. You're going to lose a lot of stuff over the course of time with fishing. Same with the weights. They're cheap. I think you can get a pack of 50 for almost $5 or nothing too crazy. Yeah, there's your Carolina rig.